Welcome to Learning Nails and Aesthetics. We are on Chapter 3, Part 2, pages 60 through 69. Excuse me, pages 61 through 69. Okay, concluding the service. Once the service is finished and the client is satisfied, take a few minutes to record the results on a service record card. Note anything you did that you want to do again and things you would do differently next time. Also make note of the final results and any retail products that the client purchased. Be sure to date your notes and file them in the proper place. Depending on your place of work, some shops may enter the information on each client into a client record database. Check in. What are the 10 steps of consultation method? We went through those in the previous video. I will just read back the titles. Okay. Review, assess, preferences, analyze, lifestyle, show and tell, recommended, which includes lifestyle, hair, nail, skin type, face shape, upsell, maintenance, repeat. Okay, continuing. Handle communication barriers. Although you may do everything in your power to communicate effectively, you will sometimes encounter situations that are beyond your control. Your reactions to situations and your ability to communicate effectively in the face of challenges are crucial to being successful in the people profession. When referring to patrons, some salons and barbershops use the word client, while others use guest. Spas are more likely to use guest because the amount of time the client spends on the premises and the fact that spa patrons often have lunch during visits. Some salons and barbershops have adapted this practice. Others feel it personalizes the relationship too much. Medical spas have returned to using client because many spas are bound by medical privacy laws when it comes to record keeping. Additionally, guest is never used in the professional medical field. Go with the culture of the business in which you're working, and you won't go wrong. Managing tardiness. Tardy clients can greatly affect workflow. Because beauty professionals depend on appointments and scheduling to maximize working hours, a client who is overly late for an appointment or habitually late causes problems. One tardy client can set back an appointment calendar and make beauty professionals late for other services. The pressure involved in making up for lost time can be stressful. Beyond being rushed and feeling harried, you risk inconveniencing clients who are prompt for appointments. Here are a few guidelines on managing late appointments. Know and abide by your shop's appointment policy. Many shops set a limit on the amount of time allowed for a client to be late before requiring a reschedule. Generally, if clients are more than 15 minutes late, they should be asked to reschedule. Most clients will accept responsibility and be understanding about the rule. However, you may come across a few clients who insist on being serviced immediately. Explain to them that you have other appointments and are responsible for those clients as well. Also explain that rushing through the service would be unacceptable to both of you. If a client arrives late and you have the time to take the appointment without jeopardizing other appointments, politely advise the client of the late policy. You can deliver this information diplomatically and still remain pleasant and upbeat. As you get to know your client, you will learn who is habitually late. You may want to schedule such clients for the last appointment of the day or ask them to arrive earlier than their actual appointment time. If you are running very late, have the receptionist call your clients and let them know. The receptionist can give them the opportunity to reschedule or come in at a later date than the scheduled time. Managing scheduling mix-ups. We are all human, and we all make mistakes. Chances are you have gone to an appointment only to discover that you're in the wrong place at the wrong time The way you are treated at that moment determines whether you patronize that business again. When you, as a professional, are involved with a scheduling mix-up, always remember to be polite. Never argue about who is correct. Once you have the chance to consult with your appointment book, you can say, "Oh, Miss Montez, I have you in my appointment book for 10 o'clock. And unfortunately, I already have clients scheduled for 11 and 12. I'm so sorry about the mix-up. Can I reschedule you for tomorrow at 10 o'clock? Even though the client may be fuming, you need to stay detached. Move the conversation away from who is at fault and squarely into resolving the confusion. Make another appointment for the client and be sure the shop has the telephone number so that the appointment can be confirmed." Resolving unhappy client problems. Once in a while, you will inevitably encounter a dissatisfied client. Remember the ultimate goal: make the client happy. Happy clients build trust with their beauty professionals and will return for future services. Here are some guidelines. Try to find out why the client is unhappy. Ask for specifics. If it is possible to change what the client dislikes, do it immediately. If not, look at your schedule, book to see how soon you can fit them in to make the adjustment. You may need to enlist the help of the receptionist if you have to reschedule other appointments. If the problem cannot be fixed, honestly and tactfully explain why. The client may not be happy, but will usually appreciate your honesty. Sometimes you can offer other options that minimize the client's disappointment. Never argue with the client or try to force your opinion. Activity. Unhappy clients. At some point in your career, you will have a client who is unhappy about something, either related to the service or scheduling. The best way to prepare for this scenario is to practice. Role play with a classmate, taking turns being the client and the beauty professional. As you play the role of client, act out different personalities, first shy, then aggressive. Act out a problem that was the client's fault. Then evaluate your classmates, the beauty professional's reaction. Continue the conversation until you are satisfied. As you play the role of a beauty professional, pay attention to the tone and level of your voice. Make certain you understand the problem, avoiding being defensive. Offer more than one solution. Determine when you should involve a manager, played by your instructor. Do not hesitate to ask for help from a more experienced beauty professional or your manager. If after you have tried everything, you are unable to satisfy the client, defer to your manager's advice on how to proceed. I apologize, my eyes are watering. All right. Confer with your manager after the experience. A good manager will not hold the event against you, but will view it instead as an inevitable fact of the form of the life from which you can learn. Inevitable fact of life from which you can learn. Follow your manager's advice and move on to the next client. Managing differences. As a beauty professional, you will find the clients you are most likely to attract are similar to yourself in age, style, and taste. On the other hand, you will also service clients who are very different from you. This is a positive element of your career as a beauty professional. Without both older and younger clients, the ones from different social groups, you won't be able to build a solid client base for future business. When working with a client who comes from a different generation, the basic rules of professionalism should guide you. Older clients in particular may not like gum chewing, slang, or the use of yeah instead of yes. They like to hear please and thank you. They prefer to keep the topics of conversation professional. Some like to be addressed by their honor, such as Mr. Smith, rather than by their first name. When you meet an older client for the first time, ask how they would like to be addressed. Some clients are sensitive to verbiage about aging. When delivering skincare services, do not refer to aging skin. Instead, talk about dryness and solutions to remedy the condition. If these clients are your peers, Relate to their image needs, but don't act too much like a peer. It's always better to maintain a professional demeanor. When it comes to slang, the same word can have a different meaning across cultures, which is why it is always best to avoid using slang. If the word is fashion related and your client uses it, you can too, indicating that you understand and are aware of current trends. Never use cultural slang or regionalisms you do not fully understand. When in doubt, say, I have never heard that expression before. What exactly do you mean? Focus on talking points. Let's imagine a longtime client reveals to you that she and her husband are going through a messy divorce. You care for her and want to be understanding as she reveals increasingly personal details. Other practitioners and their clients are soon listening to every word and the conversation. You want to be helpful and supportive, but this is not the right time or place. What can you do? Decide which of these solutions you might use. Tell her you understand that the situation is very difficult, but while she is in the shop, you want to do everything in your power to give her a break from it. Let her know gently that while she is in your care, you should both concentrate on her enjoyment of the service and not on the things that are causing her stress. Change the subject. What topic could you shift to that seems the most neutral? Find a reason to excuse yourself. When you return, change the subject. Acknowledge her by saying, I'm sorry to hear that. Suggest a mini relaxation service the shop is promoting. Getting too personal. Sometimes when a client forms a bond of trust with a beauty professional, the client can have a hard time differentiating between professional and personal relationship. Manage client relationships tactfully and sensitively with professionalism and respect. Do not engage in an attempt to fulfill the role of counselor, career guide, parental sounding board, or motivational coach for any of your clients. If your client gets too far off topic, use neutral subjects to bring the conversation back to beauty needs. If the client tells you a personal problem, simply listen and tell the client you are sorry. Then ask, what can we do to make your visit better today? If your client is gossiping, change the subject as soon as you can. Try something like, I noticed your ends are drier than I thought. We'll do a deep conditioning treatment after your color. Then describe the treatment and home care. Books, movies, and celebrities can all be used to move into conversation about a particular look or style. As a rule, avoid discussing religion and politics. When you cannot find a way to move the conversation back to something beauty related, simply listen and then change the subject. Check in. How should you handle an unhappy client? List at least 4 points to keep in mind. Follow guidelines for workplace communication. Behaving in a professional manner is the first step in making meaningful in-shop communication a reality. The salon, spa, or barber shop is a close-knit community in which people spend long hours working side by side. For this reason, it is important to maintain boundaries. Remember, this is your place of business, and as such, communication with it should occur with respect and mindfulness. Communicating with coworkers. In a work environment, you will not have the opportunity to handpick your colleagues. There will always be people you like to relate to better than others. Keep these points in mind as you interact and communicate with coworkers. Treat everyone with respect. Regardless of whether you like someone, your colleagues are professionals who deserve respect. Remain objective. Different types of personalities working together over long and intense hours can breed some degree of dissension and disagreement. Make every effort to remain objective. Resist being pulled into spats and cliques. Be honest and sensitive. Many people use the excuse of being honest as a license to say anything to anyone. While honesty is always the best policy, using unkind words or actions at work is never a good idea. Be sensitive and think before you speak. Remain neutral. There may be times where you are persuaded to choose sides. Avoid taking sides in a dispute. Avoid gossip. Gossiping never resolves a problem. It only makes it worse. Participating in gossip can be just as damaging to you as it is to the object of the gossip. Seek help from someone you respect. If you find yourself at odds with a coworker, seek out someone who is not involved and can be objective, such as the manager. Ask for advice how to proceed and then really listen. Do not take anything personally. How many times have you had a bad day or been thinking about something totally unrelated to work? When a colleague asks you what is wrong and you're mad at her, or if you are mad at her, just because someone is behaving in a certain manner and you happen to be there, does not mean the behavior involves you. If you're confused or concerned by someone's actions, find a private place and an appropriate time to get clarification. Keep your private life private. The work environment is never the place to discuss your personal life and relationships. Focus on communicating with managers. Another important relationship is the one a person builds with their manager. The salon, spa, or barbershop manager is usually the person with the most responsibility regarding overall operations. The manager's job is a demanding one. Often in addition to running a hectic shop, managers also have personal clientele of their own. The manager is the person who hires staff and is responsible for training. Managers have a vested interest in the success of staff members. Employees might perceive a manager as a powerful figure of authority, but it's important to remember that managers are human beings. Staff members should support management by following the rules and guidelines that are set. Here are some guidelines for interacting and communicating with your manager. Be a problem solver. When seeking advice about an issue or problem, think of possible solutions beforehand. This will indicate that you are working in the business' best interest. Get your facts straight. Make sure the information is accurate before you speak to management. The proactive approach to problem solving will save time. Be open and honest. Advise the manager immediately when uncertainty compromises your decision-making skills. Do not gossip or complain about colleagues. If you're having a legitimate problem with someone and have tried everything you can to handle the problem with your own resources, only then is it appropriate to go to your manager. Be open to constructive criticism. It is never easy to hear that you need improvement in any areas, but keep in mind that part of your manager's job is to help you achieve professional goals and ensure the shop's success. It is the manager's job to evaluate your skills and offer suggestions on how to improve and expand those skills. Keep an open mind and do not take the criticism personally. Communicating during an employee evaluation. Well-run salons, spas, and barbershops make it a priority to conduct frequent and thorough employee evaluations. Sometime during the course of your first few days of work, your manager will tell you when to expect your first employee evaluation. If the manager does not mention it, you might request a copy of the form or list of the criteria on which you will be evaluated. The following are some points to keep in mind as you begin your tenure in the shop. Take some time to look over the employee evaluation document. Be mindful that the behaviors and activities most important to the shop are likely to be the ones on which you will be evaluated. You can begin to review and rate yourself in the weeks and months ahead, so you can assess your progress and performance. Remember that criteria are created for the purpose of helping you become a better beauty professional and to ensure the shop's success. Make the decision to approach the evaluation positively. As the time for the evaluation draws near, try filling out the form yourself. In other words, perform a self-evaluation, even if the shop has not asked you to do so. Be objective and carefully think out your comments. Before your evaluation meeting, write down any thoughts or questions so you can share them with your manager. Do not be shy. If you want to know where you can take on more services, when your pay scale might be increased, or when you might be considered for a promotion, this meeting is the appropriate time and place to ask. Many beauty professionals never take advantage of this crucial communication opportunity to discuss future advancement because they are too nervous, intimidated, or unprepared to discuss these issues. Participate proactively in your career and in your success by communicating your desires and interests. When you meet with your manager, share your self-evaluation and express that you are serious about your improvement and your growth. Your manager will appreciate your input and your initiative. If you're being honest with yourself, there should be no surprises. At the end of the meeting, thank your manager for taking the time to do the evaluation and for the feedback and guidance offered. Check in. List at least 5 things to remember when communicating with your coworkers. Apply communicating for success. Congratulations on completing this chapter. Before you move on, take a moment to think about how these communications for success topics apply to your apply to your particular discipline. Discuss with a classmate or study group how the 10-step consultation method should be adapted for your discipline. What some service-related complaints you may receive could be and how to tackle them, how to accommodate clients with special or medical needs, and so on. Competency progress. How are you doing with communicating for success? Check off the Chapter 3 learning objective below that you feel you have mastered. Leave unchecked those objectives you will need to return to. Explain communicating for success. Practice communication skills. Conduct the client consultation. Handle communication barriers. Follow guidelines for workplace communication. Glossary. Client consultation. Communication with a client that determines what the client's needs are and how to achieve the desired results. A client intake form, also known as client questionnaire, consultation card, or health history form, used in beauty and wellness services as a questionnaire that discloses the client's contact information, products used, hair, nail, skincare needs, preferences, and lifestyle. The form also includes all medications, both topical, applied to the skin, and oral, taken by mouth, along with any known medical issues, skin or scalp disorders, or allergies that might affect service. Effective communication. The act of sharing information between 2 people or groups of people so that the information is successfully understood. Reflective listening. Listening to the client and then repeating in your own words what you think the client is telling you. Service record card. The client's permanent progress record, services received, results, formulations, and products purchased or used. The next video will be Chapter 4. Tune in for that one. I hope you find this information helpful. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check out my other videos. We have already done chapters 1, 2, 3. Some of them I cut in half. I think chapter 1 I did not, and it was like 40 minutes. So I didn't know if that might be too long for people. Then I considered doing it, the whole chapter at one time, and then also doing other videos that cuts the chapter in half. So if you would comment which way you prefer it, that would be very helpful to me. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to continue to do it. So I'd appreciate some feedback. If you would like to suggest any other videos or things, I do have some unboxings, Beetles, nail gel. I have a lot of other products that I just haven't made the videos for yet. And that will depend on my client load when I am able to record and upload those. So I appreciate you very much. Hope you're having a great day. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.